How are we doing? Exciting to be here. Good to meet everyone. I'm sure I'll get a chance to have some one-on-one interaction with you guys as we get closer into spring and even into the fall. But real quick, excited to be here. It's been a fun couple months through the transition. Got out here a couple days, had an opportunity to watch bowl prep. Went home for the holidays and then got right back out here. But fully involved with recruiting and now with player development and trying to get ready for kind of an OTA pre-spring ramp up here. Anytime you have a new staff, there's new terminology, there's new things for our players, and trying to get them comfortable with the new vernacular, comfortable with the new coaches, so that way when we do get on the grass this spring, we feel like we can continue to improve the product that's been out there. But I'll open it up for questions.
Not many. Ryan Young, Trojansports.com. You made a pretty bold career move. At what point did you realize that you may have to take a step back and roll to maybe reach your broader goals in college football?
Well, college football has become unique. The landscape has changed dramatically in the last 5 years. There are opportunities to continue to further my career as a head coach, but at the same time, you got to understand the power of the logo here at USC. To me, this is one of the 3 or 4 blue blood programs where when this program is operating at maximum capacity, it's good for college football. It's good for all things. And so to be able to be attached to Coach Riley, to the staff, to the vision of what Coach Lynn was trying to put together, kind of made me sit back and rethink a little bit about what my career goals were. Would I like to be a head football coach at some point again? Sure, but I enjoy the camaraderie, the cohesiveness, the development that goes on in a position room, and so I'm looking forward to kind of getting back to grassroots too.
How surprised were people when people around you?
Probably, I don't think this was the job people thought I would leave for. There were some other ones out there that I think people tried to connect the dots a little bit. Coach Riley and I had never really had a lot of formal interaction. We had a lot of mutual friends, and that's where this connection kind of took place, through more of the mutual friends, him knowing somebody that I was good friends with and vice versa. Really, like I said, was not on my radar when this opened up. I was fortunate enough that Coach Riley reached out to me, and we started that conversation piece as we were kind of wrapping up our season or deep into the playoff run.
Did you already decided that you were going to make a move at this time? You just didn't know what move it was going to be? Or
say that one more time.
Did you already decide you were going to make a transition?
No, I don't. It's always great to be wanted. I think there was a couple opportunities out there that I was definitely going to look into, and the USC one kind of threw a curveball at me. Was not prepared for Trojan football to reach out to me.
Scott Schrader with On3 and We Are SC. What gave you the confidence that this was the right place?
Well, I think it starts with just some initial conversations with Coach Riley, realizing that there are great people in place right now. There's great support, there's great energy. The resources are all right here for this to be the program that everyone wants it to be. Live up to the caliber, live up to the standard that people want SC football to look like. So that was the first thing. Knew that I was going to a place where you had the tools to be successful and to do it quickly. I think in this environment, this landscape of college football, there's never been a time when you can't flip a roster or flip a mentality of a team quicker than you can these days right now. And then with Coach Lynn, had known about him, again, mutual friends. He worked with Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley is an NDSU alum. There were some connections there a little bit, so all of a sudden to have an opportunity to work with what I thought was someone that was on the cutting edge of maybe the next best coordinators out there. Why wouldn't you want to attach yourself with quality people, but also very intelligent people that understand the right way to do things?
Matt, Luke Adams, Orange County Register, nice to meet you. Do you feel like in some way you're both kind of betting on USC, but betting on yourself and just leaving North Dakota State and taking this job? And
I think there's always that angle. Probably with every job you take, there's a little bit of betting on yourself. I've had 7, 8 different jobs in my career, and they've all been great jobs for me. and all of them have allowed me to get to the next opportunity or create more opportunities for me. And so sure, you can say I'm betting on myself a little bit, but I'm also betting on the bigger vision of what Coach Riley has going on here.
Matt Entz from Athletic, what was that initial interview process like with Danton, and what did you learn throughout that time?
Well, it was initially just kind of getting to know one another, our past history, maybe connecting some dots of how we were connected through other people, talking a little bit schematically, philosophically, defensively, kind of how I had operated in previous, what his vision was moving forward with SC defense. Little bit of X and O, a little bit of recruiting conversation, but was positive. I was very impressed with Coach Lynn, his approach, his knowledge. The last couple 2-3 weeks, we've been able, once the recruiting has kind of finalized for the class of 24, we've been able to meet more defensively as a staff, and still very, very impressed with. And you look at his product of work that he had a year ago at UCLA, tremendous job coming in and then revamping and really turning that around. And excited to be part of what he's going to do here, and hopefully I can offer some assistance as we move forward.
How does his philosophy mesh with what you did in recruiting?
Similar, operating from kind of a 4-2-5 structure, multiple coverages, going to play man, going to play zone, going to play some matchup, coverage, and then multiple front movement, and then necessary pressure. So to me, it was kind of a no-brainer. It felt like very similar to what we were doing. I thought the learning curve would be short, and he's done a great job of explaining it, so it has been, and now it's my job to make sure that we can execute it on the grass.
A lot of retention, obviously, in this linebacker room that you're inheriting, and just in general, kind of some struggles with run defense last year.
Yep.
In terms of how you want to fit into Dan's, kind of vision and those schematics aligning. Just what do you want to instill as far as kind of those run principles and improving on that?
Sure. Well, I think the first thing, any time in my philosophy in college football is you have to be great against the run. If you give up a ton of yards on the run game, you're going to defensively die a slow death out there. So we need to be fundamentally sound, structurally sound in what we're doing, have enough answers defensively with trade shift motion. We're going to see the gamut as we enter the Big Ten, people trying to create leverage with some sort of trade or shift or combination of both pre-snap. But then the other thing is we have to be sound tacklers. We have to understand our own leverage drills, who's the force player, who's secondary force, who's the inside out piece, so we can eliminate explosive plays. It looked like there was a lot of opportunities last year where initial contact was made and then all of a sudden the ball would continue to travel downfield on explosive play, a missed tackle. And so those are some things that we personally can get cleaned up, especially at the second level.
Hey Coach, Connor Morissette with USCFootball.com. Have you had much time to talk with and spend a lot of time with the linebackers who are returning so far, and just what have your impressions been?
Not enough, and trying to multiple irons in the fire right now. But that's why this time of the year is exciting, because there will be some forced communication between those linebackers and myself. Have had some and tried to dive into more what their level of knowledge is, what their concerns were a year ago. How can we make this a better defense for them? You're only as good as your players. It doesn't matter what I know or what Coach Lynn knows. It's what they can understand and then regurgitate on the field that's going to matter. And so just trying to get a baseline for what their football IQ looks like right now. And so I'm excited. Eric Gentry, is a young man who has a ton of potential. We need to find a way to continue to keep his weight up right now. He's a guy that has struggled. I think if he can consistently, be 220, he's a guy that I think from a durability standpoint, from a tackling standpoint, will have a lot more success. And then, we have some other returners as well that we just need to get their feet in the ground, give them the tools that they need to be consistent, and I think you'll see a better product.
What are some traits that the guys you're adding to your linebacker room must possess?
The new players that we're adding?
Yeah.
Well, with Easton, just some veteran, a young man, transfer from Oregon State, a young man that's played a lot. So has that game experience, that has seen adjustments, has understood defense, excited from kind of where he's taken off this offseason. But, the 3 new linebackers that we've signed, all of them, you've seen a tremendous length, bigger version, 6'2", 6'3", rangy, can play sideline to sideline. I think as we start to kind of put pieces together, I think how they respond in the weight room, how they respond to the dining center will determine if they're a Mike or a Will. But all of them, multi-sport athletes, basketball players, baseball players, football players, of course, track athletes, trying to optimize the athleticism that we can have, but they still have to have the necessary skill sets to be effective Big Ten linebackers.
With recruits, like high school recruits, what are some of the traits that those guys need to have for you to be?
Well, the skills, looking for tremendous speed. Speed is one of those things at every position. I've never met a coach who said someone was too fast for them, and so always looking to optimize speed, change the direction, short area quickness, play strength. Can they play off of blocks? Can they come through their hips on tackling? I'm giving you kind of a list of things that, as I'm watching film, probably go through my mind as I'm watching it. And then when you get them on campus, that's sometimes the most intriguing, is being able to sit them down and say, okay, teach me your number 1 coverage that you guys play at high school X, Y, and Z, and start trying to pull back some layers of really, how sharp, what football type IQ, and what growth potential do they have. One of the things I like to do is have them on campus, and then they'll be back the next time, and I'll start asking them about the things that we talked about. What kind of retention do they have? What kind of, how do they learn? Is it visual? Do I need to have video? Because that's my job, is to make sure that I find the right teaching method for each individual athlete.
Coach, obviously you were a head coach for the past few years, now you come in and be an assistant. So is the dynamic a little weird, kind of not being the guy leading the team meetings anymore and kind of having to step back and let Lincoln and Danton do all the...
No, it seems seamless. You might have to ask Coach Riley. I try not to be the guy with too many ideas. Just trying to make sure that I'm learning what's going on right now and how we do things. But I'm here to offer support. I'm here to offer any suggestions if we are looking to do something different, or we need some variety. I do think I have some knowledge there, both having been a coordinator and having been a head coach before. But no, it's been good so far. I'm excited. I really like the dynamic of the staff here.
Coach, you're with USC Athletics. You've led and been a part of multiple championship-winning teams. Is there a common denominator with championship culture that you've identified?
Well, I think one of the things is, and this probably was part of the hiring process, was, at North Dakota State, the logo on the jersey was the most important thing. And I know that's a little bit of an outdated mentality, but I think when you start looking maybe at Kansas City Chiefs, Michigan Wolverines, North Dakota State, that's probably one of the things that a lot of them have in common, is the servant leadership amongst the team and making the program, making the logo the most important thing. And so I think as we continue to recruit, you always got to find the right players, the right fit. But that's one of the things that I know our defensive staff is starting to be more diligent about, is finding the right people. Is it about winning football, or is it about yourself? Hopefully it's about executing and playing winning football. I know every young man that comes through our doors has aspirations of going to the NFL, and my number 1 response is, well, then win games. Because in the NFL they want to draft winners. We want to recruit winners. It's seldom do we go to a high school where the young man's 1-11 and recruit someone. You go to Mater Dei, you go to the schools that are winning games to recruit. And so let's come here and put the best product on the field, and let's do it for the logo rather than individual praise. I'm a process-oriented person. It's about how you do things. It's about your preparation daily. That leads to success on Saturday. It's not chasing, number of yards or less. It's how can we put ourselves in the best situation to be successful.
Coach, as much as you can you describe the conversations you've had with Lincoln Riley about the vision for the defense and
Yep.
how you can get there, like the best case scenario and what that would take to get there?
Well, I think it just starts with the little thing, instilling the little things, and then following through with the standard. One thing you're going to find out is I'm not a big expectation person. I don't like the word because your expectation for USC football is completely different than mine. So when people use expectation, that's fictional a little bit. I like the standard. What is the standard? This is a championship caliber program, or has the vision to be one. Well, then we need to start holding our kids to championship habits on the practice field, in the classroom, in the dining center, in the football facility, out socially here as well. And I think that's one of the things that coaches has kind of given everyone, offensively and defensively, the opportunity to do. You are what you tolerate. And so if you have a lot of kids that are late, you have a lot of kids that miss things, well, guess what? You're going to miss that third and short. You're not going to get that stop. You're not going to get the conversion on fourth down because you are what you tolerate. And so we need to continue to hold our kids accountable to what USC football standard is.
Going back to recruiting, what's the challenge for you? You're now recruiting areas you probably weren't before, where you maybe don't have the connections established, recruiting different kids. How hard is it to kind of build your foundation?
Well, part of it, this year I did get into the Midwest a little bit. With us moving into the Big Ten, we've expanded our recruiting into Big Ten territory. So I was throughout kind of Middle America, and we did sign 3 kids from traditionally Big Ten country. And so I think the brand itself, kids know who USC is. Having been a head football coach, having been at North Dakota State, a school that has had some success, our footprint was relatively big throughout the Midwest. So I feel comfortable going back to the Midwest. Of course, getting into Texas, getting into California, just introducing myself, being honest, being upfront, being transparent with high school coaches. I think doing it the right way. Same standard of our players. Do it the right way here. Well, I got to do it the right way when I recruit as well, and trying to create those strong relationships, get kids on campus, get coaches on campus. I think if you do it the right way, people tend to want to gravitate towards you. Hey, I'd love to see my player play for you. We'd love to get back to campus.
Taking a win with the LA Times, you were talking about meeting with the linebackers and asking, how can we make this defense better for you guys? Did you think of an answer yet? It's obviously very early.
Well, I think there were some things that, just functionally how we operate. I think we can clean some things up a little bit. Again, the more you put on them and the more they have to think pre-snap and post-snap, the slower they're going to be. Anytime there's not clarity, legs get slow, reaction time decreases, and the last thing you want to have defensively is a bunch of processing individuals playing defense. And if we can become reactive, and so that means maybe we have to have fewer checks, fewer adjustments. We need to have a call or two where we can play through and we can get lined up to everything. A comfort call, if you will, versus having just, massive amount of communication always required, because somebody has to be thinking that. And, you watch a little bit of film from last year, you can see some guys that were just thinking, all of a sudden knees weren't bent, body posture was straight up and down, and that initially gave you man, there's a lot of thinking going on. Others trying to look around. We have to, we're only as good as what they're able to execute. And so we got to find ways to simplify, but also have enough because we're going to play some unbelievable opponents this next year.
Very feature. You mentioned last year. What did you see on film? What was USC doing wrong?
Well, I'm not gonna dive into that, but just from talking to players, from talking and watching, I think just the amount of communication that was required and or adjustments within calls. Again, we need to come up. We need to have a call or two where we can get lined up and we can play ball, and we can be reactive versus having to be process oriented. And if you have a bunch of process oriented players out there, you're going to struggle to make impact plays.
Coach Riley described you as bringing a toughness to the staff. How do you teach toughness?
I don't know if I have maybe the recipe. I think it's just kind of how I go. Probably comes back to where I'm from and kind of Midwest roots. I'm a farm kid. I'm not afraid. The secret's in the dirt. The secret's in the work, and so I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. I'm not afraid to become an assistant football coach and help this program, get to its standard again. But I think just being detailed, being organized, holding myself to a high standard, you become the sum of the people you surround yourself with, and hopefully the linebacking room will see that, and all of a sudden they start to emulate those things a little bit as well. The schedule, the whole thing. You read about every dang name on the schedule? Man, you're making me nervous now standing up here. It's exciting, really exciting. You just look, non-con game right off the bat in Las Vegas against LSU, and you go back to the previous, just the last couple of years. I think, was it 2 years ago, LSU Florida State, unbelievable Labor Day game that ended with a field goal. It just, that excitement right off the bat is going to be tremendous. Now we have a long ways to go to, one, mentally and physically get ready for what we're walking into. That's been one of the messages, though. I know our strength staff and our development people have really tried to communicate with our players is, we're moving into a different phase and a different time for USC football, and we need to be both physically and mentally prepared for a week in, week out. You're talking about a tremendous travel as well. We play at Maryland. All of a sudden, 5-hour flight, 3-hour time change. There's a lot of uniqueness to the schedule this year, but it'll make it exciting as well.
Matt, how do you ensure on a staff like this, with 3 guys with coordinator experience and Eric coming from the NFL, how do you ensure that there aren't too many cooks in the kitchen, to use one specific term?
I think part of it is I can only speak on my own, is staying humble. I'm here to help drive the vehicle, but I'm not in charge of it. I'll help Danton any way I can, give him ideas, give him thoughts, come up with solutions. I think sometimes we become a world of everyone has the answers, but very few people have solutions. And I like to think of myself as a solution person, because there's usually an action. You have to get involved to have solutions, and so I have no problem doing that, finding ways to help us win games, improve our product that's on the football field. But I think it goes back to just being humble and knowing that we're all striving. If we're process driven, nobody's really worried about who's getting the accolades or who's getting the publicity.
Going back to where we started, was there a moment that really first got you started to thinking about making this transition or being open-minded to making a bold move?
There was probably. I'm not going to get into names, but I'd interviewed for a FBS head job, and some of the feedback coming back was no FBS experience, and football's football in my mind. Just the pieces I get to work with are bigger, faster, and stronger than a Division III coach, but there's still 11 guys on both sides of the ball, and we're all still diagramming the same plays. It's just how the speed at which they're executed is different. And so that was probably maybe the last straw for me, that if I do see myself ascending in the profession, do I need to take an opportunity? Do I need to take a chance on myself, like we talked about, and go to one of the blue bloods out there? And this presented itself. And it was one of the things when I did talk to Coach Riley, he asked that same question: what is your vision? And I probably, being transparent, said, Coach, I want to sit in the seat like you do someday. And I think that probably took him back a little bit. I don't think many people answer questions like that, but I was just going to be brutally honest. That's I want to be the best linebacker coach I can, but in the background I want to be preparing to be another head football coach. I want to learn as much as I can. And I think any time, and Coach Riley would probably tell you the same thing, when I tried to put a staff together at NDSU, I always wanted to hire people that had vision of being a head football coach, because they're going to be solution-based people. They're going to find answers, and they want to get it done before it gets to the head coach. And so I think that's where I can be helpful, is cutting off issues or any trouble that, hey, have we thought about adjusting this before it becomes a bigger deal?
Coach Adam Bradford from the Sporting Tribune. I know when you left North Dakota State to come here, there was some animosity and frustration from the fan base you would leave for what was considered like taking a quote-unquote demotion, so to say. So what was kind of your response to that?
I love my time at NDSU. I mean, it was 10 unbelievable years. Had an opportunity to compete for 7 national championships. I have a son that still plays there, and it'll probably always be home to my 2 boys. So, you know, that fan base there has unbelievable standard, and that's what makes that place so great. It's not about being 7-5. It's about winning championships. It's about winning national championships and doing it with the right people the right way. And I think this place can do the exact same thing.
After you won championships and had so much success at North Dakota State, you hear someone say, you're not good enough to be a head coach at the FBS level. Like, how did that make you feel, just as someone who's been in this?
It is what it is. Just keep getting better.
Ideally, how many years are you here?
As long as Coach Riley's going to have me here. I have a wife and a dog that have seemed to adjusted to the warmer weather and the sunshine that's out every day versus the alternative.
Let's do one more.
Did you have any reservations about Los Angeles?
I didn't. No, I didn't. I'm not sure if that was good or bad, but I saw it as USC, and I'm going to work for USC. I'm not going to work for Los Angeles, but it's been great. There's tremendous fan base right here. There's tremendous football in this region, in the state of California, and we have to continue to get the best players in the state to stay right here at USC.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a great afternoon.